In today's episode of our podcast, we dive into the recent news about Sean "Diddy" Combs selling his lavish Miami mansion for a staggering $55 million, all while he faces a prison sentence. We'll explore the implications of this sale and what it means for Diddy's future. Is this a strategic move to liquidate assets, or does it signify something deeper? Join us as we break down the details, discuss Diddy's incredible life in the spotlight, and analyze what led to this moment. Plus, we'll have a special segment where we hear from industry insiders about the real estate market trends in Miami, especially for high-profile celebrities. Stay tuned for an exciting discussion. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Ashley. If you're new here, please follow the show, leave your comments, and subscribe. We just launched this channel. Okay, let's start with the headline everybody's talking about. Sean Combs, Diddy, has officially sold one of his two-star island mansions in Miami Beach for $55 million. Now, if you're picturing some sleepy little bungalow, think again. We're talking about the property at One Star Island Drive. 6 bedrooms, 8.5 bathrooms, close to 8,000 square feet, sitting on more than an acre of waterfront land with 240 feet of water frontage, a private dock, a pool, a spa, and a guest house. It was originally the guest property of music power couple Gloria and Emilio Estefan before Diddy bought it from them back in 2021 for $35 million. Oh, do the math with me for a second. He bought it for $35 million. He just sold it for $55 million. That's a $20 million profit on paper on a single house, while he is sitting in a federal prison in New Jersey. That's the part that makes this story so wild. Most people, when their finances and their freedom are both under this kind of pressure, they're selling at a loss just to get liquidity. Diddy didn't just sell, he sold for a premium. The buyer is a company called JF Star LLC, linked to a Virginia businessman named John A. Franklin, and the deal was financed with an $18.5 million mortgage from Axos Bank. It was done off-market too, meaning there was no public listing, no open house, no bidding war splashed across Zillow. This was a quiet, negotiated, behind-the-scenes transaction. And here's a detail that adds a whole new layer. This sale wasn't just a straightforward transaction. Franklin, the buyer, had actually filed a lawsuit against Combs' team, alleging Diddy's side failed to complete the deal on time and couldn't produce proper documentation about existing mortgages on the property. So this $55 million closing didn't just cash out an asset. It resolved active litigation. Why this house specifically matters. Now, here's where it gets heavier, and I think it's important we don't gloss over this part. This wasn't just a mansion. During Diddy's federal trial, prosecutors specifically pointed to the Star Island property as one of the locations where the so-called freak-off parties took place. The Marathon filmed sex sessions that were central to the government's case against him. So this house isn't just real estate, it's a location that was named repeatedly in a criminal trial. Diddy was convicted last year on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution under the Mann Act, tied to arranging travel for escorts involving his former girlfriends. He was acquitted of the more serious charges: racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. He was sentenced to 50 months, and he's currently serving that sentence. So when we ask, why sell now? There are really 2 ways to look at it. 1, the practical financial read. He's paying legal fees on multiple fronts. He's facing a wave of civil lawsuits, and turning real estate into cash is just smart asset management for a man in his position. 2, the symbolic read. For a lot of people watching this case, this house was part of the story of his downfall, selling it might be as much about closing a chapter as it is about closing a deal, he still owns the second Star Island estate next door, the one that was raided by federal agents back in March 2024 as part of the investigation. So this isn't a full exit from Star Island, just one house down. What else is going on with Diddy right now? And this sale isn't happening in a vacuum. There's a lot moving on the legal side too, so let's catch everyone up. Back in March, Diddy's legal team filed an appeal, arguing that his 50-month sentence was excessive. His attorney argued the judge effectively acted like a 13th juror by factoring in conduct, the coercion, the exploitation, that the jury actually acquitted him of. That appeal went in front of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in April, where judges pushed back hard on both prosecutors and Diddy's defense team about whether that sentence was properly calculated. We're still waiting on a ruling there. On top of the criminal case, there's a whole separate track of civil lawsuits, accusers alleging assault, drugging, and misconduct going back years. One of the more prominent ones, filed by music producer Jonathan Hay, recently cleared a legal hurdle in Los Angeles, meaning it's allowed to move forward rather than being dismissed. There have been more than 10 civil suits filed against him at this point, and his team has continued to deny the allegations across the board. So really, the mansion sale is just one thread in a much bigger ongoing story. The appeal, the civil suits, and now, the dismantling of the real estate empire piece by piece. The real estate angle, Miami's celebrity market. Now for the segment I promised. Let's zoom out and talk about what this sale tells us about the Miami luxury market in general, because there's a real story here beyond just Diddy. Star Island is one of the most exclusive addresses in the country. It's a private, gated island in Biscayne Bay that's home to musicians, athletes, and business moguls. Off-market deals like this one are actually pretty common at this level of the market. When you're talking $30–60 million properties, sellers often don't want the exposure of a public listing. No lockbox showings, no strangers wandering through a home tied to a federal case. A quiet broker-to-broker deal protects privacy on both sides. It's also a reminder that celebrity distress sales don't always mean a discount. Even with everything going on, this property appreciated by about $20 million in under 5 years. That tells you Miami waterfront real estate, especially ultra-exclusive islands like Star Island, has stayed red hot regardless of who's selling or why. So, bottom line, is this a strategic financial move or the closing of a very dark chapter? Honestly, I think it's both. Diddy is managing an empire under pressure from every direction. An appeal, a stack of civil suits, and a prison sentence. And turning bricks and mortar into liquid cash is just good crisis management. But you can't separate that from what this specific house represented in the trial. That's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to follow the show, drop a review, and share it with someone who's been following this case as closely as we have. We'll keep tracking the appeal, the civil cases, and, apparently, the real estate listings. Until next time, take care of yourselves.